Okay, guys. How's everybody doing today? Good. Good. So I'm going to share my screen right quick. So has anybody heard and does anybody know what a fad diet is? No? Well, we're going to go over some basic stuff on nutrition and fad diets today. Okay? So, our agenda for today, we're going to go over our nutrition and our ideal diet. We're going to go over some fad diets. I have a video clip from the Game Changer that's on Netflix, and then discussion questions, a Kahoot activity, and then it'll be open for questions. But if you have questions, raise your hand and I'll be happy to answer them while I'm giving the presentation. So, for our nutrition, all diets are comprised of 6 essential nutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, which are fats, vitamins and minerals, and water. Did everybody already know that? I think I know y'all went over it a little bit in class. Yep. These nutrients provide the body with energy and allow the body to regenerate and build itself back up. Some nutrients are needed in greater quantity than others for the body to function properly. Which of these nutrients do you think you need the most of? Water? That's a good one. What about the next one? What about in our food groups which one of carbs, proteins, and fats do you think you'll need the most of? Yeah, that's right. That brings us to our first nutrient, carbohydrates. It comes in types of sugars, starches, and fibers. Carbohydrates are one of the main energy sources we consume. Once they are digested, the body breaks it down to the simplest form called glucose. Does anybody know what glucose is?
No.
Glucose. What'd you say? Sugar, yeah. Well, that's just a form of carbohydrates. So sugar gets broken down into glucose. That's why we have that term high blood glucose levels. Is because when we digest that carbohydrates, that glucose goes into our blood, and our body uses that as energy. Our body uses glucose as its main source of energy rather than fats. Some of the healthy options are carbs with naturally occurring sugars such as fruit, starches such as whole grain products, and high fiber foods such as vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Can anybody give me a healthy option, like an actual healthy option that would be a carbohydrate?
Rice.
Say that again?
Rice.
Rice?
An apple.
Apple, yeah. Anybody else?
A pear.
A pear? That's good. Unhealthy options include carbs with added sugars, processed foods, and white bread. Why do you think white bread's unhealthy? Huh?
First thing, top clear. I don't know. Because it has unnatural sugars. Say it louder. Unnatural sugars. Yeah.
That is somewhat correct, but the main reason is because white bread is more refined and it's processed through a factory, so they take all the fiber out of that bread. So in whole grain foods such as like whole grain bread, they have more fiber in those foods and it's more healthy for you. Overconsumption of unhealthy carbs results in weight gain. Overconsumption of healthy carbs also results in weight gain if you don't exercise properly. So what happens if we eat all this bread, all this healthy fruits and all this other stuff, but we don't burn any of it off? What's going to happen? Say it again? Yeah, you can gain weight, but how do you gain weight? by the carbohydrates turning into fat because your body wants to store it for later. So your body just keeps storing fat, turning those glucose molecules into fat just so it can store it, so it can have energy for later. Our daily intake of carbohydrates should include half a plate of fruits and veggies and a quarter of a plate of whole grains. So that's probably pretty much like almost all of your plate is carbohydrates. So our next nutrient is proteins. It comes in meat, poultry, seafood, beans and peas, eggs, processed soy products, nuts and seeds, and dairy such as cheese and yogurt. Did anybody know that beans and peas has a lot of proteins? Yeah? This is pretty much where all of our vegans get their protein from because they don't consume any animal products. Proteins build muscle mass and helps regenerate the cells in the body. Also, it builds up the immune system. Does anybody know what the basic form of proteins are? So we had carbohydrates. What's the basic? And the basic form of carbohydrates was glucose. What's the basic form of proteins?
Unsaturated.
No. Those are fats. What about proteins? That's correct. Yeah. They're also called amino acids. Healthy options include lean meats such as poultry and fish, nuts and seeds, beans and peas, and yogurt and cheese. Some of the unhealthy options are proteins with added sugars, red meats, which can cause heart disease, and processed cheeses. Why do you think unhealthy fats can cause heart disease? Or unhealthy proteins, my bad. What'd you say?
Because they build up eventually?
Yeah, they build up. They have these things called LDL cholesterol in them. And LDL cholesterol goes through of our arteries and clogs them up by forming atheromas, which are these things that form in our arteries that are almost like a fat buildup inside the arteries. And then our blood cells going into our artery aren't able to pass through, and that's what happens. That's what occurs when you have heart attacks, is that artery will get clogged up. The overconsumption of certain red meats can cause a higher risk of heart disease. So if you overconsume proteins, you'll have a bigger chance of heart disease if they're unhealthy proteins. Our daily intake should include 10 to 35% of calories from protein depending on your exercise, age, and weight. Why do you think that varies between how much you exercise? Anybody know?
Why does it vary between how much you exercise? First, and what's your answer? Isn't it like? Oh wait, I'm confused about the question. Why does it? Ask the question again for us.
So the range is 10 to 35%. Why do you think that range is there based on exercise, age, and weight? Why do you think I should consume 10% if I don't exercise and 35% if I do exercise?
Go ahead, Bruce. Miles.
Because it could be that too. You would also get weight if you did 35%. If you exercise a lot, you got to be 10%.
Yeah. So when you exercise a lot, you have to have an increased amount of protein in order to supplement the regeneration of your muscles. So if you break down your muscles a lot while exercising, you got to have more protein in order to replenish those muscles so you can build them back up. Our next nutrient is fats. They come in types of saturated and unsaturated. Can anybody tell me which one is solid at room temperature?
You can go ahead. Saturated?
Yeah, that's right. So saturated is solid at room temperature. Our main purpose of fats is to supply energy to the body after the body runs out of carbs. So if you're running a marathon and you have your carbs, your body's going to initially go to carbs for that energy source. Once your body runs out of carbs, it's going to have something for energy, so it's going to start going over to your fat metabolism, and you're going to start burning those fats. They're not as high quality of energy as your carbs, but they do the job. They also help with processing fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, and these are required for healthy functioning of the body and help with your organs and different things in your body. The healthy options are unsaturated fats, which include olive oil, avocados, sunflower seeds, fish such as tuna or salmon. Fish and tuna and salmon is where you get your omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which help with heart health. Unhealthy options include animal sources such as red meats, poultry, and full or reduced fat dairy products. The overconsumption of certain red meats can cause high risk of heart disease, heart attack, and decreased energy. Our daily intake should include 20 to 35% of our calories and healthy fat sources. What do you see the difference in between this picture right here with good fats and bad fats?
Yeah. Unhealthy and healthy?
Yeah,
They have like more like added.
that's right. And if you look at the good fats, it's more liquid options because they're forms of olive oil and stuff like that. You got your avocados, all naturally occurring fats, rather than bad fats, which are meats and cake and butter and all this other stuff. All right, so for our minerals and vitamins, we have fat-soluble vitamins, water-soluble vitamins, and then we have minerals. Our fat-soluble vitamins need to have fat for them to be properly processed in the body. So if we don't have fat in our system, our body can't process these fat-soluble vitamins to use. Same thing with water-soluble vitamins. We have to have water to process these vitamins in our body. Vitamins and minerals build the immune system, allow growth in the body to occur, and help with proper organ functioning. So for example, if we have vitamin A, our vitamin A function is vision, skin, and reproduction. Our source comes from carrots, sweet potatoes, salmon, and dairy. And if you don't have enough of vitamin A, you could have some form of night blindness because it's functioning with the eyes a lot. So we do need a lot of vitamins in order to keep our body functioning well. You normally get all your vitamins and minerals through the food that you eat and water, but if you don't, then you need to take a multivitamin, 1 per day, to increase that vitamin intake so that you're not having any deficiencies anywhere. If you overconsume vitamins and minerals, you can cause health risks of nausea and vomiting because your body doesn't need that excess vitamins. Has anyone in here taken a multivitamin on an empty stomach and been a little bit nauseous?
No.
No? Well, if you do take one on an empty stomach, it can cause nausea. So make sure that you eat it, you have a multivitamin with food. So our next nutrient, and probably the most important, is water, because we can only live probably 2 to 3 days without it, or with it. Or we can't live without water for 2 to 3 days. It makes up 50 to 70% of our body weight, and it gets rid of waste, keeps body temperature normal, cushions joints, and protects sensitive tissue. According to the USDA, our daily intake should be about 15.5 cups of fluids a day for men and about 11 cups of fluids a day for women. This is not always correct, and you should probably do it based on your body weight. And a good calculation for that is to take your body weight, divide it by 2.2, and then that number in ounces should be the amount of water that you drink per day. And to how you can tell if you're drinking enough is your level of thirst and the color of your urine. So if you have dark urine, you probably need to drink a little bit more water. And if you have very clear urine, then you should probably back off of drinking a little bit less water, because there is cases of if you drink too much water that your cells could start lysing and start bursting, and it could have some bad effects on there. So here's our USDA food pyramid. So if you see the 3 bottom categories, those are all carbohydrates. So our vegetable group, our fruit group, our bread and cereal group are all carbohydrates. If you go up a little bit, you have your milk, yogurt, and cheese group, which can be considered fats and proteins. And then you have your protein group. And then at the very top, you have your fats, oils, and sweets. This is what health professionals say our ideal diet should look like. Does anybody have any questions so far? No questions?
Got it, huh?
All right, so our next thing is fad diets. So has anybody heard of any of these diets listed on this PowerPoint slide?
Yes.
Which ones have y'all heard of? Say it again, I couldn't hear any of y'all.
Say it loud. Keto and paleo.
Okay. Well, our first one we're going to go over is the keto diet. So, pretty much like some of you have heard, the keto diet consists of mainly high amounts of fats, normal amounts of proteins, and a very low carb component. As you can see on the picture on the keto diet food pyramid, it's kind of the opposite of what our USDA food pyramid looked like. So we have fats as our main source of food, and then we have proteins, and then we have carbs. So this diet is actually advertised as one of the fastest weight loss diets, as well as eat what you want as long as it's mainly fats. Okay, so our pros of this diet is there's a very quick rate of weight loss, and it can help reduce seizures in patients with epilepsy. But the downfall from this diet is it's very difficult to sustain, which that's the only reason we have a diet. The best diet is the one that you can sustain for a long term or a long period of time. Is you can have a feeling of no energy. Exercise becomes very difficult because fat is very hard for the body to process for energy. And the consumption of bad fats becomes a habit, and it's very nutrient deficient. So, what do you guys think? Why do you think you are very tired when you go on the keto diet?
Fat.
Because of fat?
Energy.
Yeah. So you have pretty much no carbs in your system, so your body's resulting to that fat, which is that tier 2 energy source. So, the Mediterranean diet. Has anybody heard of the Mediterranean diet? No? Well, this diet consists of eating vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and healthy fats, weekly intake of fish, poultry, beans, and eggs, and moderate portions of dairy products and limited to no red meat. So, if you see on the pyramid right here, you can see that the majority of what you're eating is healthy grains, healthy carbs, a lot of vegetables, fruits, and then you have fish. Fish and seafood you have to eat it twice a week, at least twice a week in the Mediterranean diet. You also have the weekly intake of protein, so poultry, eggs, cheese, and yogurt. And then red meats and sweets are pretty much, it's like you don't eat that pretty much at all. The pros from this diet is a very balanced diet. It improves heart health, weight management, cancer prevention, reduces inflammation, and diabetes prevention or management. So that's a lot of pros from this diet. And it's pretty much just a balanced diet. Its big key factor is that it's very heart healthy. Okay? Some of our cons is some of the foods that are in this diet are costly, cost a lot of money. There are some dietary restrictions that may be challenging. It may fall short on some nutrients. And there's no specific guidelines to follow and can be time consuming. So what does it mean if there's no specific guidelines to follow? That just means that it's not going to have any kind of specific amounts that you should eat. It's pretty much just saying these are the foods that you should eat. Try to vary them in the amount of what food group you're eating, and that's about it. It also has a very big component on exercising every day. Who can tell me what the paleo diet is? What's the paleo diet? Somebody else said you've heard of it?
They say they've heard of it but don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, the paleo diet is just a diet consisting of foods that are only obtained through hunting and gathering. So back with our early humans, all they did was hunt and gather food. So they would have people going out and getting berries and fruits and vegetables that were grown out in the wild, and then they'd go and hunt for wild game. So the foods that are included is fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, lean meats, especially grass-fed animals or wild game, fish, especially those rich in omega-3 fatty acids such as salmon, mackerel, and albacore tuna, oils from fruits and nuts such as olive oil, walnut oil. So if you look at this picture that I have on the PowerPoint slide, it has meats and fish and oils and seeds. It has vegetables, and then it has fruits. But if you look at the very bottom, it says that you can't have bread, sugar, milk, rice, corn, beans, or potatoes because they're all grown from the ground from modern age humans. Some of the pros from this weight loss include some of the pros from this diet include weight loss, improved glucose tolerance, better blood pressure levels, and better appetite management. Some of the cons is it's very expensive. The amount of carbs that can be limited due to not eating grains or dairy is very difficult for vegetarians because it excludes beans, which are their only protein resource. So for our plant-based diet, what do y'all think the plant-based diet is consisting of? Plants. That's right. This diet consists of all plant-based foods and tries to exclude all animal products. You have your food pyramid up here, which has just got all plant-based products. The pros from this diet is there's proven health benefits, there's a wide variety of compliant foods, there's no weighing or measuring, and may aid sustainable weight loss. Some of the cons may be challenging to ensure protein intake. There's a potential for some nutrient deficiencies, including calcium, iron, and B12, and requires meal planning and preparation. So, any questions about the plant-based diet?
That was all.
So, has anybody heard of the show The Game Changer? No?
Yeah.
You have?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. So I've got a clip from here that's pretty interesting. I want y'all to watch it, okay? Let me know if y'all can't hear this.
An experiment to help answer that question was being conducted by Dr. Robert
Can y'all hear it?
We can hear.
Vogel, co-chair of the NFL Subcommittee on Cardiovascular Health.
What you eat immediately before an athletic endeavor really can have major impact on how you perform. There's a direct correlation between a meal and endothelial function. The endothelium is the lining of blood vessels. It regulates blood flow throughout the body. It knows that a particular muscle group or organ needs more blood flow, and it dilates, it opens up. When the endothelium is impaired, it cannot open up. It cannot allow blood flow to increase as much, and therefore impairs athletic performance.
The test subjects were 3 football players from the Miami Dolphins, defensive back Michael Thomas, and wide receivers Griff Whalen and Kenny Stills.
For the touchdown, Kenny Stills.
Today, we're going to be feeding them 3 burrito breakfasts with a lot of protein. 2 of them have sources of animal-based protein and fat. One is from beef, one is from chicken. Third is a plant-based burrito, which has beans in it. So the protein and the fat came from a plant-based source. Tomorrow, we're going to feed them all bean burritos. We're looking at the impact of eating a different meal on the same people.
All right, here's the beef. Thank you. Chicken here, and this one here. Thank you.
Griff has been plant-based for 4 years, so he got bean burritos on both days.
On away games, we always eat fried chicken. We eat Popeyes. I love fried chicken. I love Popeyes, and I'm gonna eat Popeyes every time.
2 hours after each meal, the players had their blood drawn and put into a centrifuge. The red blood cells sink to the bottom. An amber-colored fluid called plasma rises to the top. If the plasma is see-through, it means there's not much fat in the blood, and the endothelium is likely functioning well.
Michael, today's blood and yesterday's blood. This is a plant burrito. This is a meat burrito. Look at the difference it makes in what circulates in your bloodstream.
Cloudy.
Cloudy. And that's on top is the fat circulating in your blood from the meat burrito.
Gotcha.
Griff, you're the vegan. Here's your blood from today and your blood from yesterday. Nice and clear, both of them.
So the fat from the avocado doesn't have that kind of effect?
That's right. Kenny, you're the fried chicken guy. You want to see your chicken? There it is.
Yeah, it's pretty gross to see.
Sources of animal-based protein and fat have a tremendous impact on endothelial function. That lasts for 6 or 7 hours after you eat. So if you have bacon and eggs for breakfast, a hamburger for lunch, and a steak for dinner, this is going on all day long. Your blood is always cloudy, and the ability to operate at your best is always impaired.
Damn. I guess I won't be eating my fried chicken no more.
Dr. Vogel's experiment was backed up by numerous studies measuring how a single animal-based meal can impair blood flow. I also found a large body of research showing that plants have the opposite effect, improving endothelial function and increasing blood flow. Controlled studies show that simply drinking beet juice before training allows subjects to cycle 22% longer and bench press 19% more total weight.
I've seen races where it has come down to the 1,000th of a second. Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing. Getting it.
So, so what were some of you guys' thoughts about this video?
Somebody said interesting.
Interesting?
I'm trying to find out if the athletes are more athletic.
Yeah.
Whenever they
Yeah, so the study was just to figure out how much plant-based diet has an effect on their athletic performance. So if their blood if their arteries are vasoconstricting, so meaning they get smaller, that means the amount of blood that goes to their system is depleted, so that the oxygen, the nutrients, all the energy going to their muscles kind of gets a little bit depleted when their arteries are closed. What are your thoughts on some of the fad diets we discussed?
that mostly were as degrees of others.
Say it again?
So that most of the fat foods are ones that were as good as free as others.
Yeah. Any,
I'm gonna have different pros and cons.
And how do fad diets compare with the recommended diet by health professionals? So our ideal diet, how do these fad diets differ from what we discussed in the beginning of class?
Focus on one thing before the other.
Yeah, that's right.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Like,
All right. So now we're going to do our Kahoot activity. So I need everybody to get their technology out. We're going to try and do this Kahoot activity. Make sure the names that you put in are appropriate, okay?
Just put your first name.
Y'all let me know when everybody's in the Kahoot, okay? Everybody in?
Yeah.
I got 15. Is that everybody? 16?
That's everybody.
That's everybody. Here's the first question. You ready? Ooh. Somebody got tripped up with carbohydrates. All of these are essential nutrients. Okay. Here comes our next question. Everybody ready? Oof. Remember, sugars, starches, and fiber come from our carbohydrates. All right, here's our next one. Dang, who said false?
No, I didn't. We ran out of nothing. Yeah, we ran out of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It went down like 4. Like, as soon as we clicked on it, it just went. That's why I'm doing this on the
All right, here comes our next one. That's going to be our vitamins and minerals, guys. Dang, Abigail's killing it. It's going to be 50 to 70% of our body is made up of water. Okay, here we go. Good job, guys. That's going to be the Mediterranean diet. Remember, that's the one that improves heart health the most. All right, here we go. Remember, low carbs. We have a low percentage of carbs in the diet. That's going to be our keto. Okay, here we go.
We're all in the same boat. Everybody's screaming.
Everybody's what? What happened?
Everybody's screen was frozen.
Oh. Dang, that stinks. Alright, is y'all screens back? Are they back?
We'll see.
Okay. Here we go. I guess it's not gonna work. Oh, it did work. Alright, here's our last question, okay guys? It's a trick question. Alright, let's see who won. Good job, guys. Oh, is it time to go?
Yeah, they got about 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm just going to wrap up right quick, okay? Alright. And so here are some additional resources that you can go to. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I had a great time teaching y'all guys today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.